Hello, everybody. I just got in my car and finished up a long drive from Austin. About 2 days later, I ended up in San Diego. I'm sitting here on the beach watching the waves crash. And as I sit and watch the gulls fly and sea lions swim around, I'm excited to talk about a question I get asked a lot. When should someone, or when should a company work with a freelancer or an agency or a coach or just manage the PPC campaigns in their Amazon account themselves? This is a common question and a common problem that so many companies bump into. Time and resource allocation. How much time should we spend on something and how much money should we deploy towards the solution? Typically, it is an incredibly difficult decision to make, and it's incredibly difficult to make it a purely logical decision. Instead, it's often emotional. We feel like we don't have the time, or it feels like we're fighting an uphill battle, or it feels like PPC is too difficult, or it feels like there's a lot of missed opportunity, or it feels like we can't trust someone. And here's the thing. Every single time, no matter how good an account is, or even if you don't have any worry about what it is that you're doing inside your PPC campaigns, you can always benefit from getting an outside opinion. A quick glance from a peer or the right professional can be a game changer. It's very easy to look at something over and over again, only to realize maybe we missed a new ad type. Maybe we can better segment our products into campaigns. Maybe we missed a single keyword campaign opportunity. What if you don't have the resources to pay for that second opinion? Agencies can be expensive. And of course, expensive is a very relative term. What's expensive for you might be considered too cheap to someone else. So I want to answer this question. When should you work on your campaigns yourself? When should you pay for outside advice? When should you pay for outside help to completely hand it off? When should you hire internally? And when should you hire an agency? There are a lot of different options inside your path. Right now, I want to talk to my solopreneurs, the people that started selling on Amazon as a side hustle. There are a lot of you out there. In fact, the majority of people selling on Amazon are individuals, just like you. And Amazon does have some gigantic names selling on it, but the numbers of individuals, sellers, outmass them. So when you're first starting out, you typically have more time than money. So it is often advisable for you to learn PPC yourself to a degree to at least get you started off the ground. So if you're just getting started and you're spending less than $2,000 or $3,000 a month on your PPC campaigns, you're in a difficult spot. In fact, it's probably the most difficult spot to be in. In fact, things will never be as difficult as they are when you're starting out because your knowledge is low. You're going to need to study. You need to listen to podcasts like this. You need to take courses like we have. You might need to join a Facebook group. You might need to ask questions to peers. It's going to be difficult to fill in that knowledge gap. Then you need to go and execute on that work. Then you're going to have more questions, so you need to repeat this learning action cycle. The benefits of doing this are that you really get to learn how PPC behaves. You get to know more than, just a list of steps. And instead, ideally, you hope to really fundamentally understand PPC. You get to adopt that business intelligence into how you operate. It's effective experience that I think most people should have in the world of e-commerce. To at least know the terminology, to know what is required, to spend their own money, to get a result and ask themselves, what can I do to improve this result, is a big achievement. Now from there, as your PPC campaign grows and as the business grows, you have some options. And generally, the people at this phase are going to be split into two groups. The first group, these are the natural PPCers. These are the people that like doing PPC. It's fun for them. They're a rare breed of people like me and probably you that want to be a power user. They want to continue managing it. They like the knowledge. They enjoy the challenge and feel confident in scaling their campaigns. That's awesome. Don't lose that momentum. Don't dismiss that momentum, that natural inclination. You are probably seeing some great results as your campaigns grow. For these people, the CEO or founder, Sometimes managing the PPC campaigns as it grows in size, I've even met companies that spend $150,000 a month on their PPC campaigns. Team of 10, the founder still manages the PPC. However, should they manage it at that such large scale? I like to think of it this way. What generally happens is when the account is small and the founder starts managing it, they manage it, they find good success because they're generally spending a lot of time looking at it, thinking of it. However, as their company grows and they hire more people, and as they spend more, and as their product and their product list grows, they're not putting in as much time as they did when they first started. And when you're spending a lot, you're going to need to spend more time than you did when you first started. As your complexity grows over time, you're going to need to spend more time than when you started. Anyone managing a PPC campaign needs to be studying regularly. They need to be on top of it. And they can't just get the highlights. They really need to stay focused. So I implore all founders listening, if they're still managing their campaigns, really self-analyze. Am I still putting in as much zest into managing and optimizing campaigns as I did when I first started? If the answer is yes, good, continue optimizing it. You are an optimizer yourself. But if you recognize that maybe you're not on top of it as much as you were, maybe you let it go sometimes, if you're not checking in daily, if you're not spending at least 5 hours a week on your campaigns, then maybe another hour just to study and think and analyze and mastermind on what, that's an incredibly important part. So it's time to probably hand it off. I'll talk about to who later. Now, the second group of founders at that stage is the founder that doesn't actually like PPC for a number of reasons. Spreadsheets, numbers, you have to study, you have to listen to podcasts, you have to read blogs, you have to do all these things. It's easy to not like PPC. In fact, most people do not like PPC. So if you don't take naturally to it, you do not want to be managing your campaigns. And if you don't take naturally to it, it's very possible that this uphill battle has caused you to have bad results. These people want to hand it off as quickly as they can so they can go focus on their strengths. I see this all the time. People that like product development as opposed to marketing. This group has to invest. The first thing they probably need is some outside help. They can probably go find a freelancer, and they're spending less than $7,000 a month. They could probably find a freelancer that costs around $500. Any agency with a large overhead is going to have difficulty serving you for less than $2,000 a month. And at $2,000 a month in fees doesn't really make a ton of sense if you're only spending $7,000 a month, unless there's a big opportunity to scale. And you'd want to talk to that agency to really suss out if there is a lot of opportunity there. Easy way to tell if your ad spend is less than 10% of your total sales, but your total sales continue to grow, you're probably missing out on some good PPC work. The second thing to invest in after you get that small freelancer is to sort of get an outside opinion periodically, because you won't be able to have really conducive conversations with that freelancer. You're going to want to get a third party in there to verify and improve and ensure that your freelancer is working on the right things. This is where you can get an outside coach to assist and guide you as the business owner on a consultative basis to better manage and guide and make requests to the freelancer. You likely only need 1 or 2 months of PPC coaching a year to keep that moving forward. This gives you the best of both worlds, low cost savings and expert level insight. Now again, that outside coach isn't there to discipline or get the freelancer in trouble. Work collaboratively. Now, as the account continues to grow past that point, let's say you're spending $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 and beyond, the doors start opening up. Now it's time to start considering an agency or other options. So what happens here? Now, even before we get to an agency, you have one option of working with a highly paid solo person, sort of a freelancer who's an expert in their field. These people usually charge a pretty penny. You're probably looking at a price tag of $2,000 to $5,000 or more to manage your campaigns at the scale of being over $10K a month. And with those people, you really want to be sure that they really do love PPC and they're really focused on it. Option 2 is an agency. And if you're looking towards an agency, you'll probably see a similar price tag of $2,000 to $5,000 a month. Anyone higher than $5,000 a month, as your campaign grows, it gets into the territory of, I can kind of hire a full-time marketer for, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. that can do all my PPC and my organic stuff and maybe a few other things. This is why that sweet spot of $2,000 to $5,000 a month exists. So should you work with a solo person or an agency? I mean, honestly, the word agency has a really negative connotation in my book. To me and many others, it can sometimes mean bloat, mistrust, bureaucracy. Maybe you're not even able to talk to the person working on your campaigns. So it doesn't really matter if you're working with a solo person or an agency. There's going to be a few things to keep in mind. You want to be able to talk to the person working on your campaigns. You want to be able to communicate effectively with them, and so that you can sort of extract some of their knowledge that they see. You want to ask good questions. How does my account compare to other accounts? Be honest. Tell me. Give it to me. I won't be offended. I want to use this. And it's your responsibility too to build a nice relationship so that the other person working on it feels comfortable giving you news that you might not like to hear. Maybe your products aren't optimized well. You're going to want to hear that, and you need to really heed that advice. So you're going to want to work with someone that generally cares about you and your company, someone who isn't perfect. You're not going to find this perfect person or this perfect agency. Every single company is going to make mistakes here or there, but you're going to want to work with people that will communicate with you and work past any bumps in the road. Skills are important and difficult to judge if you're hiring out. Case studies can be important, but there is going to be a leap of faith you need to make when you hire out. And if you're not willing to make it, don't hire it out. If you are constantly mistrusting who you hired, why did you hire them in the first place? We need to be able to feel like we can trust them. Your account will go up and down over the course of management, but you're going to need to know, and you're going to want to trust who is working on it to guide you to new heights when things are good and mitigate during times of crisis. After you hit that upper threshold, you begin to start thinking about managing internally. Now, warning here, whoever you hire needs to be a PPCer. A general person who doesn't love PPC will fail at managing your PPC, and that is a fact. We coach many companies that either want to augment their internal team or they want to train someone up on PPC. Now, this person is just not naturally drawn to it. More likely than not, that campaign is destined to fail. You really need someone that really likes the art of PPC managing your campaigns. Getting a PPC coach can help, but you can't teach someone to become world-class at music who's tone deaf. So really the choice depends on what type of business you want to run and how complex your campaigns are. In the world of high spend and hundreds of ASINs, typically outsourcing helps because they have a large amount of resources in a large agency. In the world of high spend and low ASINs, you can either train internally if you have somebody that wants to do it, or you can work with an agency you trust. All in all, and you can imagine, there is no silver bullet. A lot of this comes down to how you think about PPC. Now, I meet a lot of people that think PPC is a simple task and that anybody should do it. These people don't respect the process. And they should. Working with people, whether an agency, freelancer, doesn't matter. That's an art form. Managing employees, vendors, contractors. A lot of the onus is on you to manage these people effectively. And like most people, it's difficult to be a good manager. I've been a founder for nearly 10 years, and I still feel like a beginner with loads to learn when it comes to managing people and vendors alike. So, if you're thinking about working with a freelancer, could be a great option if you're spending less than $7,000 to $10,000 a month. But if you're scaling up and there's lots of opportunity, it's probably a good time to start thinking about working with an agency or invest more internally. You really do need someone who's dedicated to mastering the craft. And no matter what you do, always put as much responsibility on yourself to make the relationship work as you do on the individual or company you hired. You always need to help people help you. Now, I'm going to continue my walk along the beach here. Have a good one, everyone, and tune in next week because Steven and I got a very interesting message from an Amazon rep.